Joining me now in studio, Fighting Joe Morrissey, the Fighting Joe Morrissey Show, Senator Joe Morrissey. Joe, great to have you in studio.
John, good to be with
you.
Great
to do the elbow thing.
That's right. And good to be with Meet DC for the first time. Good to have you here in the studio. Hope you enjoy your new home.
Yes.
And I heard your announcement about James River. Guess who purchased 2 James River units in my home?
Fighting Joe Morrissey.
Exactly. I looked at all the different products out there. I was concerned about the product itself, the installation, the guarantee, the service. I went with James River Air. And by the way, folks, that's not a paid promotion. I'm just trucking the truth, as somebody that I know would say.
I like that, Joe, trucking the truth. Now save this and send it to Connie, Kara. Save this whole segment because we got to send it to Connie, do a live read every day. But, Joe, I appreciate that. They're a really good company, and we're certainly proud to have them in our portfolio of team members, as they say, Joe. Speaking of team members, your favorite player of all time, Tom Brady, your idol. You got his shirt, you got his numbers. He's out of New England. Took the money and ran. His last pass with the Patriots, pick 6 by the Titans. I'm going to remember that for life, Joe. Meantime, he's going to the Tampa Bay Bucks. Well, I thought they had a quarterback.
He may be going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but here, he
says he's going to the Bucks.
Let's just reboot for just a second. You remember, and after his final game, he was asked about his future, and he certainly did not give any encouragement to New England fans that he was coming back. He said, more or less, if this was my last day, my last play, then, it's been a good run. Certainly didn't give people enthusiasm that he was returning. It's something else is going on there. And let me tell you something. It has nothing to do with money. I mean, come on. He and his wife have got to be worth combined in excess of $250 million. Come on. Well, you're not going to go to another team that pays you an extra $1 million a year. He's going to get somewhere in the neighborhood of $30 million this year. Kirk Cousins signed a 2-year contract. He's getting $32 million a year. There's a number of elite quarterbacks that are in the $30 million range. He's going to get that. At this stage in his career, when he has 6 rings, do you really think it's a difference between $1 million or $2 million a year? No, there's something deeper there. I'm not suggesting that I know what it is, but there's something going on. I heard one analyst say maybe he wants to prove that he can win without BB, okay? Bill Belichick. I don't know.
Turn out the lights, the party's over.
Well, it might be over in Boston. I'm sure as hell it's going to be over in Tampa Bay.
Well, Tampa Bay's got a pretty good team. I mean, and actually there were 2 teams that probably needed him. I mean, I never really got what the Chargers were doing because Phillip Rivers is a pretty solid guy, although now he's gone. But look, Tampa Bay, Jameis Winston is Mr. Interception. They've got a pretty good team in Tampa. They got a legit defense. They run the football. But Jameis Winston he's not an NFL quarterback. You can't throw, 30 interceptions a season and get to the playoffs and win games. The Titans took a hard look at him. But here's what happened with Tennessee. This is interesting. They abandoned him, and they signed Ryan Tannehill to a 5-year extension. And, of course, I'm dialed into Titans Nation. The reason that I found out they did that is it was an outpouring of backing by the players on the team for Tannehill.
Right.
Outpouring of backing. They like him. They like his leadership. They thought, Brady would come in, one and done, be disruptive. And so General Manager John Robinson, apparently insiders say, got just a plethora of feedback from starters on the team that wanted Tannehill back, so they signed him. But look, he had 3 playoff games. No game, 2 of them he won, did he throw for over 90 yards.
Yeah. I think Ryan Tannehill is a great quarterback. The Titans, I think, made the right move. You're, of course, as you just said, more dialed in to Tennessee, but there's a lot to be said about that locker room camaraderie and the fact that the players came out and such forceful numbers. Just extolling his virtues, I think, means a lot. With regard to Jameson, you're right. You can't throw that many interceptions a year and be an elite quarterback and lead your team deep into the playoffs.
No, you just can't give the football up that much. That's why I think it was a smart. I think Brady made a good decision. Go to Tampa. I like your theory, though. I like your theory. Swan song, end of your career. Prove that he can win without BB. Prove that he can win without the machine around him. But he's got a good coach in Tampa Bay. The guy from Arizona, Bruce Arians. I mean, they got a good deal. It's a solid club. You know, he could be the difference. Not turning the football over, managing games, and making the big plays.
Let me tell you what I see in him that I hope that I can instill in some or not, if not all, of my children. He came in as a 6th-round draft choice. He sat down with the owner of the Patriots, and the first meeting he said, do you know who I am? And the owner said, of course, we just drafted you in the 6th round. And you're Tom Brady, you're from Michigan. And he looked at him and he said, I'm the best decision you ever made. He knew he was a winner, all right? He has got tremendous discipline, but the number one thing that he has is a competitiveness that you have to have in any facet in your life if you're really, really going to be successful in your industry. Super competitive. His talents have...
Yeah, competitive without being an asshole.
Sure. And I'm sure you can say that on the radio. But let me tell you what competitiveness means. It means that you're not out at the bars drinking, okay? It means that you get up early when no one's watching and you're practicing in the off season. It means that you eat properly. It means that you have discipline to do your drills, okay? It means when you get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and you do your 3 sets of 25 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, you do that every day when you don't want to do that, all right? It means, and he's always been like that, and that's why, and then he's got great talent. But there's lots of people that have great talent. I once, the expression that I remember the best, and I've used it many, many years, I once dated a professional tennis player, and her dad gave me lessons, and I asked him once, what's the difference between the number 100, men's player in the world and the number 1? He said, Joe, the talent-wise it's so thin. Talent-wise is so thin between number 1 and number 100. And he said the following, and I'll never forget it. Everybody wants to be a champion. Not everybody wants to prepare to be a champion. And that's the difference. Preparing to be a champion. And you can extrapolate that to every other facet of one's life in every other industry, from politics to professional sports. So his competitiveness is going to make him go out there and wherever he lands, let me tell you something. That team's going into the playoffs. It's going to go deep. And if he wins a Super Bowl with a new team, his 7th ring, then that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
That's it. I'm retiring. I showed you the rest of the world.
Not only his legacy lives on forever.
Right. And then he'll go back to New England and sign a contract for a week or a day. So he'll end his career as a Patriot.
No,
and then run for governor.
I like your theory.
What if he doesn't? What if he goes to Tampa Bay?
Well, I think he retires.
Well, first of all, they're too good of a team. They're too good of a team for that to happen.
He's not going to tank.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, Tampa Bay is an up-and-coming team. But, I think that...
Worst case scenario, Tampa Bay is 10-6 next year.
Jameis Winston is not going to lead them to the prom. The guy he's a gunslinger. He throws interceptions all over the field.
You know what he's not?
Begins
with D. What isn't he? He's not disciplined.
Right. That's his problem.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, he makes bad decisions. John Fredericks Radio Network, Trucking the Truth Across America. We're with Fighting Joe Morrissey, state senator. He's back. We're going to talk about when his show's coming back on the air here in the John Fredericks Radio Network. John Fredericks, good to have you. Joe Morrissey with us, Fighting Joe. Joe, I want to talk about your show, then we'll go to the coronavirus. I have to say, though, after 2 weeks of this, it was refreshing for 15 minutes to talk about something other than the coronavirus, the government, nobody have any money, $1 trillion spending packages. It was just good to be 10 minutes to talk about something else. So thank you for doing that, where we talk football.
Sure. I enjoyed talking to DC and Kiara and you about the doings in Foxborough. Let me share a story with you, because we were talking about discipline a few moments ago, that I think epitomizes the Washington Redskins fiasco. They've lost 100 games in the last 10 years. That's 10 a year, folks. And New England. And under Brady, they've won 6 Super Bowls. Do you remember the Patriots came to Richmond to scrimmage the Washington Redskins out at their field right out here in Richmond? A lot of fans turned out, and they went through their drills. And at the end of it, the world champion New England Patriots walked over to the sideline. The Washington Redskins walked inside. Their hot August practice was over. Do you know what the world champion Patriots did? Led by Tom Brady, they ran suicides, wind sprints for 15 minutes. Now, if I was a Washington Redskin player, I would have been embarrassed by that. You just got, they were bested by New England in the scrimmage, but those champions are out there doing wind sprints, preparing to be champions again. The Redskins are going in there taking their showers, preparing to lose 10 games the next year. Again. That's the difference, folks. I am telling you, in life, if you are a hard worker, you have stick-to-itiveness, you have a modicum of discipline, you're going to be successful, whatever you want to do. The people that I see fail are those that aren't disciplined, that don't show persistence. Those that are successful, they say, I don't care what the odds are. I am going to make this square fit in the hole. Okay? It's going to happen. You either with me or you're not. And you know what? They may try, and that square might not fix in that hole, but something else comes up along the way. When they're fighting so hard, I've seen this time and time again. Somebody struggles. They don't give up. They don't quit. They might not get that goal. It may not be attainable. Most of the time it is. But you know what? Something else comes up. So
it's called persistence.
Yes, of course it is. Yeah. And it's in sports, and it's in politics, it's in radio broadcasting. You know, it permeates life.
Persistence. I think it was Calvin Coolidge who said persistence is the great divider between success and failure. He said the world is filled with educated derelicts that have no persistence who failed, and uneducated people of great persistence that are tremendously successful. He said that was the great divider. You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network, fighting Joe Morrissey with us. When we get back, we're done with football. We're going to ask Joe about 2 things. We're going to ask him about the coronavirus, what he thinks of it, where we're going. Is the whole state of Virginia going to shut down? Restaurants closed, people out of business. What's going to happen? We're going to ask him about that. And then Tommy Norman, his counterpart in the Senate Minority Leader, wants a special session with the governor. We'll find out from Senator Joe Morrissey whether that's a good idea or not. You, my friends, are on the John Fredericks Radio Network. I am the Godzilla of truth in America. Stay with us. On the John Fredericks Radio Network and the John Fredericks Radio app. Great to have you with us today. I'm coming to you live from your state capital in Rich Vegas. Joe Morrissey sitting in with me. Joe Morrissey fighting Joe Morrissey's show. We're trying to figure out when his show gets back now that he's out of the state Senate and out of the General Assembly. He had a great session. Big article on him in Associated Press. Very lauding. Said how fabulous he was. I had all these great quotes in there about him. They didn't put him in, much to my chagrin. But I had the best quotes in there. But, look, I didn't make it. But anyway, fabulous article on him. Joe Morrissey with us. So, Joe, let's get to the coronavirus. Everything being shut down here in Virginia. School closed 2 weeks. Your kids are out. Joseph's out. Baseball's gone for the season as far as I can see. Restaurants closed. Bars closed. People out of work. Joe, what do you think?
First of all, I think it's going to, you know me, I'm a realist. I say things the way they are, not the way I want them to be. I see things, and this is just coming from listening to experts and reading articles, not hyperbole or rhetoric, but the experts. Things will get worse before they get better. I think in the next 6 weeks, we'll probably peak. I think that's what will happen. We'll peak at the number of infections. We will peak at the number of deaths in the United States, and then it'll start to tail off. Now,
How
that's
many weeks?
6. It's going to get worse over the next 6 weeks. Now, let's put things in proper perspective. So far in the United States, there's been 6,524 deaths. Excuse me, cases of coronavirus. 6,524. And there have been 116 deaths in the United States. So that is just over 1%, okay? That's number one. So we're talking about 1%. Now, the people that are most susceptible, the people that are dying, are those over 60. If you are a young person and good health, whether it's a child or somebody in their 30s, 40s, 50s, the chance is 1/10 of 1%. Now, that's a fact. So, number two, in everything in life, you look back at history to get a gauge of what you should do now. We are doing that by closing schools, closing public forums. I went to church Sunday. They only let the first 100 people in there. They had to sit 2 meters apart. The others went to overflow. That makes sense. The best article I read was about a similar epidemic in Roanoke in 1918. Do you remember what that was? The Spanish influenza. 4,100 people died in Roanoke. 4,100 people died. They did not close down gatherings and meetings until it was too late in the game. Everybody that knows about this, that has studied it, says that is the key to containing it. All right? Second, if it's contained and people are isolated, you limit the number of people that are sick, the number of people that are going to get death. So, and they did not do that in Roanoke. We're doing it across our country right now. People really, really took a deep breath when we canceled, like, the March Madness. Had to be done. Had to be done. Most of the schools are closed. Surprisingly, guess what are open? Daycare. My children two of them are still in daycare at Goddard. And apparently the chances of, a child getting it with their strong immune system is as likely as being struck by lightning. Mm-hmm. That's a figure that I heard. So, but other things, restaurants, sure, they should be closed, movie theaters, sports venues, until we get a handle on this. Now, so that's what I see happening. I'm not panicking. I'm doing what the experts are saying, okay? I'm washing my hands. I'm staying away, trying to keep my distance. A few moments ago, your elbow moved over towards me, and I pushed it away, okay? And
sounds like my wife.
Right. The lovely Kiara is a full meter away from me, all right? And I just met DC, and he's another meter away from everybody else. So just do that, okay? Also, this. We be respectful of the people that are most in need. When I drove in here today, I was thinking of those old elderly people. What can I do for them? I'm thinking of my dear friend Millie Basile, 90 years old in Hopewell. What can I do to help Millie? Okay? As soon as I get out of here, I'm calling her. What do you need? What can I bring you? Okay? That's what we got to do. I see people that go into
for a Paul Goldman. He's at risk, isn't he? Isn't he like 90?
Yeah,
Goldman?
yeah. He's probably already got a touch of corona.
Oh, wait a minute. He hasn't sent me a text in several days. You better check on him. Inside joke, people. Sorry.
It's like War and Peace. When he sends you a text, you've got to read a chapter of War and Peace. In any event, people going to stores, buying way more. People coming out. I saw one person coming out with a shopping cart. He had pulling two shopping carts, and one shopping cart is filled with toilet paper. Come on, stop it. I could be indelicate. I won't. So think of other people. All right, there's that you never lose when you do that, and it'll get a little bit worse before it starts to get better. That's my take on it, and that's not just Joe's optimism. That's listening to the experts and doing what they say.
So what do you think? Things stay closed down for what, a month?
Oh, no. We're not going back to school this year.
You think we're done?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What about
Oh, no
bars?
month. No month. No. They're already talking. It went 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 8 weeks. Now it's minimum 8 weeks, okay? And many folks are suggesting that it's schools are closed down for a year. High schools, that's it.
Kind of what I think.
They've said, this was their big year. I heard this. I was listening to this. It was a good story. And the world of high school students, they're 18, okay, seniors. Their career, their high school, middle school, elementary career, their education career, academic career has been based on getting to that senior year, award ceremonies, prom,
It's all gone.
getting accepted,
All gone.
going on to competing in championships, competing for all types of academic honors in high school. Done. Over. Stop right now. And that's their world. That is their world, and it's an insular world, but that's the way it is. They are not going back to high school. It's not going to happen.
What about restaurants, bars opening?
They're not going to open. They're going to be
For takeout?
just for takeout. I don't believe the governor has done it yet, but I expect to hear in the next couple of days that restaurants are closed for coming
Well,
and
they
sitting
all
down.
got to one-up each other. The next thing he'll be doing is having a curfew and then martial law, whatever. But
you say that dismissively.
because I can't stand the guy.
Well, hold on a second, though. Hold on a second. Wait a second. I get that, John. But at the same time, you're all in that everything that Trump is doing is great. I'm not dismissive of that. I want the president to be wildly successful because the country is successful. You should want the governor to be wildly successful. And if he implements plans and implements executive orders that keeps people away, well, then good. But I don't think you should be dismissive of it. That's just me. And that's not a politician speaking. Just my
Okay.
Joe Morrissey.
So you see bars and restaurants being closed until when?
Did you see how dismissive of me he just was? He moved on to the next topic.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, okay. All right. Bars and restaurants are going to be closing with the exception of takeout. That's going to be imminent.
I know, but how long?
Oh,
A month?
no, I would say a month is a minimum, but I could easily see it going on for 2 months.
I mean, if bars and restaurants are closed for 2 months, Joe, we're going to go into a depression.
You got doors.
I mean, it's going to, forget recession. This is going to be an economic depression that you and I are not going to get out of as long as we're alive. We're too old. It's going to be, it's going to be an extended period of time.
I disagree.
Steve Mnuchin yesterday said that if we can't get the stimulus done and we can't get this behind us, that unemployment could be at 20%. You have 20% unemployment. You have a major global depression.
Yes, but here's the difference between a depression that we saw in the 1930s, okay, that lasted until, when, until we entered World War II. And it took World War II to bring us out of that depression. That depression was driven by economic factors, supply and demand, et cetera. This is almost like an artificial intervention or injection into the system that is as temporary until we get the coronavirus under control, which we will. They are now, are you aware of this? They are now doing human testing. Human testing, not animal testing.
For a vaccine.
For a vaccine.
Right.
All right. It's going to be moved along like there's like we've
Lightning fast.
lightning fast. So if you told me that we were going into depression because of economic conditions around the country, then
Like 2008. Look,
that was a
30s.
recession.
Right.
Right.
So what you're saying is, look, you're taking the position that schools are going to be out for the remainder of the spring. I agree with you. Bars and restaurants gatherings are probably going to be a 2-month period. I kind of agree with you on that. But if we can get out of this by the summer, get the stimulus package together, your position is we can recover quickly.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. I also wouldn't rule out the possibility that we're closed all of the rest of March, April, May. Okay, so that's 10 weeks. Do I see a situation where that becomes the summer break and people start back again in June, July, maybe take a month off in August before they come back in September? I could see that happening,
Yeah.
but only if the experts say that the pandemic is under control. I could see that happening, but but rather unlikely.
You know, the question I can't get an answer to that I keep asking the authorities who come on or people in the know is, you know, what define when it's over? Like, what's the touch points to say? They say when the curve bends down, but bends down how much, what percent? And, of course, the fear is you open things back up, the curve goes back up, and then everybody gets blamed again.
Well,
So that's the fear that I have, is that this thing is just protracted.
Well, first of all, I am not aware of a situation where we had a pandemic in our country, and I'm just going back to the Spanish influenza in the
1918.
in the beginning of the 20th century, where the curve went down and then spiked again. All right,
Yeah.
I'm not aware of that.
Actually, that has never happened.
Yeah.
Right.
So once it starts going down, then you have a long, sustained sigh of relief.
So the good news is
Two
China,
good news. Two pieces of good news. Number one, we're not seeing the deaths like we saw the bubonic plague, the black plague, the
Right.
Spanish influenza. We're
Right.
not there.
Right.
I just showed you an example where it's 1% death. Okay, in our country
Fatality.
we have, but that and there's also for the elderly people.
Right.
It is less than 1/10 of 1% in anybody less that's young,
You-
like the people in this room,
Right. No, look, and
including you.
And also the number of infections, the percentage increase has slowed in Virginia over the past 2 days. The percentage increase has slowed. I asked Mark Warner.
The key is you stop the percentage increase.
The
And you do that
exponential growth.
by isolating
Right.
people.